Welcome to another edition of Dianne Andrews in Black and White, an open discussion about the issues you don't want to talk about and the arts you need to know. Now, here's your host, Dianne Andrews.
Hello, I'm Dianne Andrews, host of Dianne Andrews in Black and White. First, I always thank the YouTube audience out there. You've been so tremendous. We've only been doing this about 5 weeks. We've had over 2,000 people watch us on YouTube. For me, an unknown girl from an unknown show. I appreciate it, but it lets me know we're doing issues that you do want to talk about and you do want to learn about. I thank the audience that's here with me today, and I thank TV Land. I thank Thought Network Broadcasting for just putting us on in Shreveport, Monroe, and Alexandria at 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights. So now we're all over the state except for a portion of New Orleans, and we're also a little bit on the western side of Mississippi. So we're going into over 3 million homes. So this little girl from Rouge, Louisiana, thanks all of you out there, and now you can see me at home. Today we're going to concentrate on bullying. This will be our bullying part 2. People who saw it about 3 weeks ago, we called it bullying from cradle to grave. And because there's adult bullying, there's cyberbullying, and there's youth bullying. I am very happy to have with me today the superintendent of the #1 school district in this state of Louisiana for 9 years. That's quite an accomplishment. And the superintendent has been with them for 2 years. Mr. Scott Devillier.
Yes, ma'am.
Scott, are you a native of Zachary? I know the mayor is a native of Zachary.
No, I'm not. I came to Zachary to work in the school system in 2003 when the school system broke away from East Baton Rouge Parish.
Best thing you ever did, probably.
Well, it was something that the community wanted. They wanted to take control of their schools, and it took a lot of hard work and time and effort by a lot of great people in the Zachary community, and they were able to do that in 2003, and I've been there ever since, and as superintendent for the last 2 years.
And I have with me Jackie Henderson. This lady is a writer, producer, director of plays, but she wrote a play called Back to School Live based on bullying, and we're going to talk to her about that play today and get a little insight of it. I've known people who've seen it and they say it's wonderful. So we're going to find out where they're being shown next and when we talk to her today. I know Zachary has 5,500 students in your school.
That's correct, district. Approximately 5,500.
And there are about 22,000 people in Zachary, Louisiana, which Family Circle says is one of the best places, small towns in America to live in. And yet,
yes, ma'am.
Average income is about $75,000, so that's probably why it's such a good place to live in. But it's such, when I go to Zachary, there's a different feeling. When I walked into the school district, your board there, I felt I'm a first IBMer. That's when I was 19 years old. I graduated from college in mathematics. I was 19. And I felt like I was just walking into not a school system, but to an organization, to a corporation. And is that the way you run that there?
Yes, ma'am. You know, we've grown over the years, and, you know, we're, I guess you can call it a $50 million corporation.
Yeah.
It is. It's run. It's a business. And our business is the business of education,
right,
and educating children, and that's what we do each and every day, and that's the most important thing, and that's the #1 thing we do.
And that is so wonderful. Now, I did ask you all when I met with you and Adonica, who is his right-hand person, I think, and she does a great job there.
She does. She's my communication specialist, yes.
You all, your ratio of black to white students and other was how much, Scott?
It's about 52% white, 47 black, and 1 other.
And that tells us that you've got pretty much, you know,
it's
the
basically
same.
50-50.
Yes, it is. And that's a great compliment to you all of what you've done there, because I think when you run something like a business, it runs like a business. And that's why you're #1 in the state for the last 9 years. You all have taken on a great challenge called Rachel's Challenge, which is based on Columbine.
Yes, ma'am.
For people in 1999, there were 2 guys, Eric Harris and Dalen Keyboard, who blew up Columbine School. It's called the Columbine massacre. there were 15 people killed, including themselves. There were 13 others killed, 1 teacher and 12 students. The first student's name was Rachel Scott. There's a challenge that 18 schools have taken on, but Zachary took it further. They took it to the community, and that's why I was so interested on what you're doing with that, so other school districts and other communities can learn from what you all are doing with the Rachel's Challenge. Would you tell us about that, Scott?
Right, well, we opened up the school year and had us, actually Rachel's uncle, Larry Scott, come into our school system, talk to all of our employees, a number of the city officials, state representatives and senators were there, and spoke about Rachel's story and how Rachel wanted to start a chain reaction of kindness. And it was a great program. We were able also to bring in a speaker for the last 2 days. We had, on Monday and Tuesday, we had a speaker that came in from Rachel's Challenge to speak to all of our students from grades 1 through 12. And that, which was age appropriate, you know, different programs for different ages. But also last night we had a Rachel's Challenge community event, and we had a decent turnout. Of course, you know, in Zachary there's some type of event going on every night, you know, and so, but we had a great turnout, and what we're trying to do is partner with the city, the school system in the city, to start that chain reaction of kindness throughout the city. And we have a number of things planned, you know, to try to build a community aspect. Our theme this year for the school system is Zachary Connected. We're trying to connect the whole community together, and just part of that is to start that chain reaction of kindness.
Even at 22,000 people, that's a big challenge.
It is.
And I know most schools do it, school districts, but not many communities.
Right.
Have you patterned yourself after a community who's done this as an entire community before?
We've talked to Rachel's Challenge about some of the processes and that they've gone through with other communities. And, you know, in Zachary, that's why I went to when we decided to do it as a school system, I said, you know, this is bigger than just a school system. You know, we want to involve the entire community.
Right.
And when you start getting parents and business leaders and community leaders involved in this, then they are going to take a major part in making sure it's successful. And so that was our approach of not only doing it in our schools, but through the whole community.
And do you think, it's embryonic now, but you think you've got a pretty good consensus of everybody that, I know 1 week, 9/21/1, no, in August, you had a meeting with Kiwanis and all the Lions Club and the mayor's office, and
we had a meeting in early September with some of the community leaders. We invited just to kind of introduce the program to them as we start to roll it out, and really we wanted to wait till the last 2 days, so once the kids were able to, you know, hear, because they knew something was coming. They heard Rachel's Challenge, but they really didn't know what it was. So we wanted it to be, you know, them to go through that process and hear the speaker and learn a little bit about Rachel's story and the story.
She was supposed to be a super kind young lady.
She was.
How old was she when she was?
She was 17.
17.
Yeah.
With such a bright future.
Yes.
It's a good thing that we do this. Now, how did they accept it? How did the children accept the challenge?
Very well. I mean, they definitely, every single person in the building, whenever they heard the story and was challenged, you know, to start that chain reaction, they all raised a hand. They wanted to accept that challenge, and so it was a great moment.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, the parents and community leaders that came, of course we advertised it in the community, but most of the people who were there, some of the kids drug their parents there and said, you have to come, you have to hear this, and then others just told their parents, please go, you know, you need to hear this. And so you know, it was a great event, and it's just the beginning. Right,
that's wonderful. Most people may not know that the 2 boys from Columbine were bullied, was part of the reason that they blew up that high school. They also wanted to make it look like Oklahoma City. That's why it was also done on April 20th, 1999. Eric and Dylan were both gifted kids. and they worked on doom, and they had Gothic culture that they used. So they were a little different, so they were probably bullied about that. But at the end of the day, they blew up that school and killed a lot of people. Jackie, tell me, why did you decide to do one play on bullying?
Well, being that bullying is so common right now, and it didn't just birth overnight. We've been dealing with bullying. We just didn't have a title for it. Of course, when we were in school, the most we had to deal with was maybe being called a name, but now we send our children to school, and we have to pray that they make it home safe now.
Right.
Doing bullying, I've learned there are 3 types of bullying. There's social, there's physical, there's verbal, and sometimes our kids feel like they don't have anybody to talk to. If they tell the teacher, it doesn't go anywhere. Sometimes they tell the principal. Sometimes it just seems to them that nothing is done. So I've learned that.
Well, they say over 75% of bullying goes unanswered. If they tell anybody, a lot of people see it and never tell anybody.
Never tell anybody.
And cyber is very dangerous.
Cyber, well, due to the internet and Facebook, the social sites, it's gone to another dimension.
If I put on there that you're fat and ugly, then it goes to thousands of people. And so then if they say that about me, I feel insecure, because as we know, everything on the internet is true, right?
Yes, so they say, yes. So our kids are dealing with stuff that we didn't have to deal with at their age. And a lot of times they'll come and they'll just say, you know, I'm getting teased, but they don't know that, you know, because my mom worked 3 jobs, I have to take care of my little sister. So sometimes my clothes may not be clean. So sometimes unaware, we tease people and we don't know the root of their problem. You got a straight A student come to school with a gun because they're tired. They're tired.
Yeah, but why would they come with a gun? Because they're tired, Jackie?
Because they're tired of being teased and they don't want to deal with it anymore.
So they want to shoot. You're talking about
they
want
to get rid of the pain.
Yeah.
So they're thinking to get rid. They don't know how to handle it. And most children, to deal with pain becomes rebellion, because they don't know who to talk to, who to turn to, and they just want to answer. They just want out of being teased. So we just come. Now Faith Production is a team of people that have come together. We have parents, we have teachers.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We have retired teachers, principals that come together with a real message. We don't come playing with it. We don't come showing stuff that's not real. We show what's really going on in the schools. We show the children being teased. We show the children that's being marked and they don't even know why. You know, we show all of this on stage. We even show a suicide that's being done because they were, even though we know that that's not the answer, but it's real.
I went, in my first bullying show, I had a psychiatrist on, Dr. Greason. When he was a young boy, he was bullied. He was a little blonde boy, and he looked a little nerdish maybe, and he was a little small for his age, he said, and they bullied him. And he said what he did, his grandfather was a boxer. He never told his mother. And he went out and got his grandfather to teach him how to box. So he started beating them up. Now, he says he doesn't tell his patients to do that now, but that's how he said, I didn't win them all, but at least he got the reputation of don't mess with Dave Greason. And you have to resort to those extents. Now, using a gun is a little different, but that may be all some other people know. They don't have a grandfather who's a boxer. And that's all they know how to do. Were your children ever bullied?
My daughter, I have a daughter. She's in 9th grade in high school, gifted, honor roll.
Very pretty. I saw a picture.
Classes, thank you. She was a victim of cyberbullying.
What
she
did
was a victim. So
did she tell you? Did she know to come tell her mother?
She knew to come tell me, thank God, because all kids don't tell.
That's right.
But what happened was I ended up taking her off the sites, because a lot of times, you know, because our kids, you know, may seem mature in some areas, that doesn't mean that they're ready for certain things. And I took her off of Facebook. She never was on Instagram. And she was like, Mom, am I punished? And I'm like, no, it's a sign of protection. Because if they're not on something, they can't be exposed to it.
What were they saying to her on
well, actually, someone took a picture, an innocent picture, and took her head. And this can happen, parents. There are websites out there that will educate you on what you need to know that your kids are involved in. There's a site called Kik, K-I-K, that they can act like there's somebody else, go under that somebody else. They can take innocent pictures, that's why she's not on those no more, and make it out of something that's not innocent.
And Scott, we were talking about cyberbullying there in Zachary. Is the most cases that you get of bullying?
Well, you know, that's one of the things that we deal with probably the most with our kids is, you know, things that they bring to school that starts or happens on Facebook or other types of social media. You know, we try to get kids to make better choices, good choices, treat each other kindly. But of course, you know, kids will be kids and they'll make decisions that probably not the ones we want them to make sometimes, but you have to help them through that. And you know, that's one of the things we do with trying to teach the kids to do the right things and talk about how they use social media.
Now, you all seem like you were doing some of the Rachel challenges, goals and objectives already, but now you have formalized it is what has happened?
You know, a lot of times, a lot of what we looked at Rachel's challenge and, you know, just looking at what they actually want to do and try to get that chain reaction started. We already do a lot of those things within our school system, but it's just sort of putting it under one umbrella and bringing the community to be involved in that
and everybody can say,
also.
we are part of Rachel's challenge,
yes,
and they know what you're talking about.
Right, it's just identifying what we actually do.
I was in the cleaners the other day, and I was telling this lady that I was doing a show on bullying, another show on bullying. She said when I was in high school, she went to Terra High, and she was probably in her late 40s, early 50s. There was this girl who was slow, a little slow, and she befriended the girl. And the it crowd at that time, and this gets a little explicit, what I'm about to say, they went to the bathroom and they urinated. They put it in a 7-Up bottle, and they gave it to her to drink. This lady went and told the principal what had happened. She said she saw this lady about 3 or 4 months ago, and she waved at her. So I said, she remembered the goodness you brought to her.
That's
because
correct.
she said the it people stopped talking to her. They were seniors, and they stopped talking. But I said, you know you did the right thing, because who wants to have friends like that? I'd rather have enemies than friends like that.
That's right.
That just shows you that what some of the things bullies do. I mean, they have no regrets about what they do, which I don't understand. It's a very sad situation. Is there anything, Scott, you would like to leave to another school district out there, or that you would like to say to the public?
You know, one of the things that we try to do, and I tell our employees all the time, is, you know, when kids come to school, the number one thing we want to do is to keep them safe. The second thing we want to do is love them. And the third thing is to teach them.
And I think
those other two things are more important.
That's right.
And you know, and you know, if you do those other two things first, the third thing just happens.
And I think that's a lot of the problem now, the lack of love in the one-parent homes. Dan Quayle, I was reading a long time ago, was vice president with Ronald Reagan. And he said the biggest breakdown in America is the breakdown of the family structure. And I think we're seeing some residual of that today. Jack, is there anything you want to tell us where your next play is real quickly?
The next play is September the 21st at the Lemon Center in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. That's September the 21st.
Thank you very much, Jackie. And thank you very much out there. We're going to take a break, and we will be right back.
We are driven by our instincts, a craving for design, a passion for performance, a need for power. The result is undeniable. The Infiniti Q50. Follow that instinct.
Welcome back. This is one of those fun segments I like to do, where we're going to talk to some people from entertainment, book writers, Michelle McCalope and Peter Mackenzie. Michelle is a hometown girl. She's from Baton Rouge. She was one of the first to graduate in her family, the first to graduate from college in her family, Southern University in mass communications.
Yes.
She's written a book called Good Job, and we're going to talk about that. My friend and co-writer on a script I'm writing for one of my books, Third Man Out, Peter Mackenzie, who is from the UK. Peter has just finished about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, a movie named Doomby with John Snyder and Ernie Hudson. And I'm a movie advocate. And I will tell you, this is one of the best movies I've seen because I'm always figuring them out. And this movie I didn't figure out. So I really love this movie.
It took me a long time to figure it out.
And you wrote it. He's a writer, producer, and director. I've written myself 2 books, and we can talk. Peter and I are writing a script on this one, and I've written one named Gumbo for the Heart. That's 25 vignettes from people like Lola Falana, Jill Honoré, U.S. Representative Cassidy. And both mine are available on Amazon. But let's talk about Good Job, Michelle.
Okay. Well, I wrote the book in June. It is a book to help inspire and encourage people to do a job that they love. You know, we all know people who are working at jobs and been working at jobs for 25 years and they hate it. They get no joy out of it. It's just to pay the bills. And I think because we work most of our waking lives, we should have a job that we really enjoy. So I talk about my career as a journalist. You know, I've worked across the country.
An award-winning journalist.
Award-winning journalist,
yes,
definitely.
Yes.
Chicago, Houston, Beaumont, Michigan, and I've been able to pursue my passion for more than 20 years.
Did you want to do this all your life?
I did.
Or did you just luck up and end up in the right thing?
I wanted to do it all my life. I've always been good in English.
Yes.
I was always the spelling queen bee.
Yeah.
And the professor at Southern told me, do you want to major in print, newspapers, or broadcasting? And I chose print because he said once you learn to write, you can go to all of the other areas.
Which you have done.
Which I've done.
Yes.
So, so I've been following my dream for 20 years, and I just want other people to experience that.
Let's go. Tell them where they can purchase
You can
Good
purchase
Job.
the book on Amazon.com. It's also in the Southern University bookstore, and it will be in Barnes & Noble soon.
Oh, great.
So you can purchase there. You can also go to my website, MichelleMcCalope.net.
Now, did you self-publish the book?
I did
Okay.
self-publish on CreateSpace and Amazon.com. And it's really, really user-friendly these days. So I would encourage everybody, if you have a story to tell, you know, do the self-publishing route. It gives you a lot of control over what you do.
Well, I went through authorhouse.mine, and both mine on Amazon also.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about this movie that I love, Doomby. Let's tell them about it.
Well, it's an interesting hybrid. It's a British, American, Irish co-production shot in Texas. And it's a very Texas story, you know, and it's about a guy who goes to a small town and makes a big difference because he's there, and it's a great sort of mystery story. Somebody said, it's really nice of them, they said it's a Wonderful Life meets the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, and someone called it 7 Cents mixed with something.
So it was actually Ralph Winter. He's a really good guy. He's the producer of X-Men and Planet of the Apes, and he said, it's something you've got to watch more than once, which is nice. So, good.
So where do they get Doomby?
Well, actually, the website is easy, www.doonby.com, Doonby. And that's it. Or you can also get it from Amazon. You can get it from other Christian bookstores all over the country.
And you're writing a book. You did the opposite of me. My Third Man Out, I wrote the book first, which makes the script a little easier that Peter and I are writing.
Yeah, well, I'm writing the book
after the movie.
Which is, look, it's kind of like that's 400 meters, and now I'm writing a marathon, you know, which is kind of a daunting prospect, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, writing a book is a lot of words, right, Peter?
Yeah.
It takes a lot
of
concentration to write a book.
Yeah, but what we're hoping then is, we're kind of working on now, as these co-production really work really well, of coming down to Louisiana and co-producing 2 or 3 more movies down here.
Yeah, The Wedding Present.
The Wedding Present, spooky.
Paranormal, right?
Spooky
paranormal.
thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Peter's got so many movie scripts that he's written over the years, and now he's coming to America to try to cash in on some of our tax credits so he can make these movies. Yeah, co-producing calls. He's cashing in on the tax credits.
Employing lots of Americans.
He just visited Mississippi because they just matched Louisiana tax credits. Liza Kelso, the film commissioner, I talked about, I interviewed her recently on the show. So, again, we'd ask you all to go out and go to Amazon, and you can get any of our books if you're looking for motivation, inspiration. There are breast cancer survivors in here. Again, motivational speakers. In fact, Keith Harrell was one of the top black motivational speakers in the country. He died of spinal cancer 3 years ago. He worked for me at IBM. And my hairdresser's in here who had a courageous battle in breast cancer, and she surpassed to that about 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And if you want fiction, there's a baseball player, but it's not about a baseball player.
And we're working on the screenplay for this as well.
Yes, we're
It's
working on a
really
screenplay. Peter and I are working on that for Third Man Out. So we've got a lot of choices for you to go out and look at. As you know, I also interviewed Susan Mustafa, who helped write Gumbo for the Heart. She wrote 8 of the 25 vignettes in here. And I interviewed her and the Zodiac Killer's son on the most dangerous animal of them all about a month ago. So it's a lot of choices of what people are looking for in books and movies, and we'd ask you all to go out, go look at Amazon and look at the books that we've talked about today and buy the movie Doomby. I think you'll be surprised, happily surprised. So thank you. Goodbye.
We are driven by our instincts, a craving for design, a passion for performance, a need for power. The result is undeniable. The Infiniti Q50. Follow that instinct.
Welcome back to Dianne Andrews in Black and White. Today we've given you a session on bullying, our second session. We did bullying from cradle to grave about 3 weeks ago, and I thought it was very important to continue bullying from a school district who lives it live and in person. So we call this one Bullying Up Close and Personal. We also had Jackie Henderson here with us to talk about a play that she's doing on bullying, which I would suggest everyone go out to see. When I was a little girl growing up in Marouge, Louisiana, just a few years ago, I saw a ritual that has stayed with me all my life. On Sunday mornings, this show came on, and they would light a white candle. And they said if everyone lit just one little candle, what a bright world this would be. And today, I challenge all of you to go out, to give, and to light your candles, to shine a light on whatever project that you're interested in your life, and to do good deeds. That's what this show is about. We're trying to bring communities together. I've done religious forums with atheists, Muslim, Rabbi, Mormon, Baptist, Catholic. And to let you know, we all are just people that need to learn how to get along. Goodbye, and thank you.